Tuesday, May 30, 2017, to order. Clerk call roll, please.
Alderman Putoff.
Here.
Ferrari. Here. Waldorf. Lukosius. Radke. Sapienza. Payton. Ballard. Mayor Hall.
Here. Pledge of allegiance. Okay, I'll call on Economic Development Bob Vickery for a presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman, as you remember, Dan Abdo was here to talk about Chipotle, maybe 6-8 weeks ago? Yeah. And he's back tonight. We're going to go through location, which has been in a hiatus since that time, but he also has another new business coming to town, and I'll let him talk about that. So, Dan, why don't you come on up?
Sure. Let's try to throw these up. There you go. Can you grab this one?
Which one do you want up first?
It doesn't matter. Just put it like right below it. That'd be great. Oh, we've got them in the copies. Oh, great. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, sure. Sure. You want me to help you with that, Bob? All right, That's great. There you go. Thank you, members of the board, for seeing me again. Last time we met, there was some sensitivity to the location. We wanted to make sure that the project was 100% go, and the lease was signed by our anchor tenant, which is Chipotle Mexican Grill, CMG as they're called. And now that the lease is fully signed, they're working on plans. We've got design review scheduled for Thursday, and then we'll release them to work on plans. But now that the lease is signed, we're pretty much ready to go, 100%, and moving forward. So at this time, we want to update you on our latest set of plans, very similar to what we had before. We just tweaked a few things. Chipotle, at some point, wants to have the option of doing their test drive-through. They're going to do a couple locations in Illinois, which is great. It just shows their commitment to the location. They feel it'll be strong for that type of use when they implement it. So we're going to get an approval for a drive-through, and that's why you're seeing that stacking along the side. That's why they wanted to be on the north end cap, because they wanted the ability to put that in at some point. What's going to happen initially is it'll remain just a 2-lane access throughout the development, and then if and when they decide to implement the drive-through, it'll turn into a 1-lane with a bypass. So initially it'll be a 2-lane and then go into a 1-lane with a bypass. So it'll be an easy retrofit when the time presents itself. We've also signed a second tenant, which is T-Mobile. They're going to go into tenant space number 2, and we're negotiating with another fast casual food use for tenant 3, but that one's not signed yet. T-Mobile signed, and so it looks like we'll end up with 4 tenants. But we could end up with 3. It just depends on if the fast casual use gets signed for tenant 3. Then we'll definitely end up with 4 tenants. So we're planning for 4 tenants. And that's it. We had a little bit of tweak to the elevation. Nothing major. Very similar to what we had before. Just a couple of little details. Some of our brick and metal, where brick ends and metal begins and glass begins and all that. And pending design review on Thursday, we're going to start plans immediately, and hope to get in the ground by the late summer, fall. And we'll work through the winter. We do it all the time. Obviously, sometimes the winters can be so harsh you just can't work through them. But if we can tarp our masonry and keep going, we will. So yeah. So very, very excited. It'll be a masonry brick building. metal, brick, steel. And we're really excited.
As are we.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No, it should be a great project. We're hoping this will be a catalyst for future. Just, you know, I tend to, when I'm in the community developing, we tend to start with one and we end up 3 or 4 projects down the road. Chipotle is a great anchor to do that with. In Crestwood, we started with a freestanding Chipotle, and that was 4 years ago, and we're 6 acres down the block now with all national tenants. We just kind of bought the whole block up. So it's turned into a little retail development park along the whole street. It used to be old industrial that we've kind of done that with. So it just seems to happen that way. So they're a great anchor, and if their sales are good, it'll just draw. The retailers tend to flock together, so you'll just start to get the rest of them coming down here, and I think it'll be great. So we're excited.
Very, very nice. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Oh, the official location. It's the Me Margarita restaurant in front of the Home Depot. And we just, like I said, due to sensitivity, we did, with Miguel, we didn't want the owner. He wanted to know we were 100% before we divulged the location. And you know, I said to him, I respect that and understand that. We deal with this all the time. And I said, how about when the lease is signed? He goes, yeah, that's pretty 100%. I said, yep. So the lease, we had a little bit of a 2-3 week delay there, just waiting to get that signed. Once I got the signature pages a week or 2 ago, I called Mom and he said, let's get it out there. So yeah. So,
You do very well.
oh,
He's got a great appetite.
oh well, no, we're. No, I think it does, and it's reflected in the sales. And, you know, Chipotle pulls all the food sales and other sales here, and they were they saw a void, they saw, you know, diamond in the rough, so to speak, and said I think we'll do well here. So, and then this whole thing about potentially adding a drive-through down the road or pickup window, that's a big jump for them. So it does show they're very committed. And they're signing a long-term lease, so they plan on being here a while.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If anybody has any questions, you know how to get a hold of me, and I'll be around very often. We're very hands-on, so you'll see me in town several days a week while we're under development.
I'll get you introduced to some of the locals.
Oh, great.
1, 2, 3, 4. Any questions? Good. Thank you, Dan.
Okay, do we have any public comment cards on agenda items?
No, Your Honor.
Got a motion to receive the minutes, place on file?
So moved, Your Honor.
Do I have a second? Second. Have a motion and a second, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Do you have a motion to receive the financial reports, place on file?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor. Have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Do we have a motion to receive the activity reports in place on file?
So moved, Your Honor.
Have a motion and a second, is any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. We'll move right to the committees. Chairman Putoff, Finance and Safety Services.
Alderman Radke will handle disbursements.
First item on the agenda is disbursements. Total disbursements for May 31, 2017, $732,227.05. I move that this report be received, placed on file, and the bills paid in the usual manner. Second, Your Honor.
Have a motion and a second to receive the disbursements, place on file, and pay the bills in the usual manner. Is there any discussion? Well, roll call vote, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf. Lukosius. Radke. Sapienza. Payton. Ballard.
Motion approved.
Also on the agenda tonight is receive and place on file the ISO Public Protection Classification Letter. This is an item that Chief King has worked on for quite a few years and has worked on it in a very diligent manner. And I'd like Chief King to speak a little bit about the ramifications of it.
Yes, we've been working on this ever since 2010 when the last audit came through and trying to put in place everything that we could do to get our classification down. Prior to our audit, we were a 5-8B, which means basically as far as demic is the 8B, that didn't change. But we did drop to a 4, which is very good for all of our insurance holders in the city of Peru, because that will help with their rates as far as when it's determined through ISO what their rates are going to be. They look at this classification and see where we're at. We dropped to a 4, which is probably the farthest we're going to see. And let me give you some examples as to why that is. First is our emergency communications. With the consolidation of our dispatch, we had a possible 10 points. We got 8.72. That's really good. I mean, we'll probably end up with a 10 out of that on the next audit because of the way we combine that. Where it comes into different areas and where we didn't gain as many points is going to be in the fire department areas, which isn't a bad reflection on us. It has to do with personnel and training. For example, company personnel, we got a 4.89 out of 15. And the only reason we got that is because I do not have full-time. I have 1 per shift. In order to get to a 3 or a 2, it's going to have to be full-time coverage. So that's why I'm saying I think we're about as far as we're going to go until, one, we get bigger and see that number change. Training, basically what they look at, the numbers, it's outstanding, but what ISO requires for NFPA 1001 is 228 hours per year per firefighter, okay? With the paid-on-call fire department, that's impossible to do. I can't expect each guy, I mean, that's 19 hours per month per firefighter just to get that number, and that won't happen with paid-on-call. I can't do it. For firefighter officer, it's 240 hours per year, and for firefighter driver, it's 240 hours per year. We did cover the new recruit training, however, which is 240 hours per year. Any of our new recruits that come on the fire department now are required to go through basic firefighter, which is 240 hours. So we covered that. So we got our full 5 points for that. But the ones that we're going to struggle to get, everything else in the audit went well, except these are the areas that I'm going to struggle on, because it's not feasible for us to do that or expect our paid-on-call guys to get 228 hours per year. It's just, it's not their full-time job, so I won't be able to do that. Other than that, for all commercial, industrial, and institutional, they want all buildings inspected, done every year. I can't do that either without a group to go out and do that. It's impossible to do that. So those are the areas that we need to work on. One of the other ones was a training, actual training facility, which I didn't have constructed at the time of the audit, but I will have, and that's 35 points. So that will be huge on our next one, but it won't be enough to push us over to that 3. I got us as far as we could go. I think the audit went very well. I mean, we did everything we could. Our hydrant grid turned out well. We're just lacking a little bit on size of mains, but that's nothing we can really change. But as far as our inspections and stuff like that, we got good review on those. So everything that we could do, we've gotten done. Other than that, that's pretty much where we're at. So we did drop a point, which is exactly what I wanted to do, which my goal was to get it down a point, and we did do that. So we are now, as of September 1st, we will be an ISO rating of 4 for the city. And then they call it a 4Y for demic, but it's the same thing as what it was before. It's a 9. It's going to be the highest rank you can get, because you have to be, their farthest person has to be 5 miles to the fire station, and obviously we know that's farther than that. So.
Well, Jeff, I really want to congratulate you and the fire department for doing that, because certainly it moves to better premiums for a lot of businesses, and the confidence of the homeowners, I'm sure, will increase a great deal. But I know it was a lot of work, because it's something that fire department's been working on for quite a few years.
The other thing is, I think you all seen this, I handed these out to everybody up there. Doug and I were looking at these, when we went through the tornado in Ottawa and Naplate, and I got to meet the Ippleman men, they were handing these out, and I thought they were a pretty neat little handouts, so I got them. We just put Caring for Our Community on the bottom, put our stamp on it, and, we got 2,500 of them. We got some down at City Hall, some at our desk, and, we're just handing them out. It's kind of a good public tool, so. That's all I have.
Anything else from finance?
No, Your Honor.
Public Services, Chairman Waldorf.
Vote on that.
Okay, there's a place on top.
Motion or a second. I'll make the motion.
Who made the motion?
Dave Waldorf.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Now we'll move on to Public Services, Chairman Waldorf.
Thank you. Your Honor, I'll start with a motion to award the bid for the McKinley Park Restroom Concession Building to the lowest responsible builder, H&H Builders Incorporated, in the amount of $148,935.
Have a motion and a second to award the bid for the McKinley Park Restroom Concession to the lowest bidder, H&H. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor. The budgeted amount for the concession restroom stand was $130,000. This came in, it was the low bid, but it came in a little bit high. And City Engineer Eric Carls is working with the contractor to get that amount back in a reasonable area of our budget. Eric, you want to
Yeah, I
take it
can
from there?
expand on that a little bit. Just doing a little value engineering to the plan, I guess, after the fact. I am working with the contractor on some of the material suppliers on some of the materials that we spec'd, and looking at fixtures that we spec'd and alternative fixtures, as well as one of the large costs in learning some of this was the masonry stone. We spec'd a split face block. We had some fluted block in there as well. And there's a number of different setups that the supplier has to do in order to create some of these blocks. So we're going to change a little bit on that exterior, stick with the split face, but look at removing those fluted blocks in the special corners and things where we'll find some cost saving.
The funding will be part from the Park and Recreation Department and part from the city.
That's correct.
So the old restroom will eventually be demolished?
Will eventually be demolished, yes.
Do they have some masonry donated to them?
We did, there was a proposal for some donation of masonry, but after inspecting it, it wasn't viable for the project.
This building be about the same size as the existing, a little bigger?
This is 26 by 26. It's about as small as we can get for a restroom concession stand building. The restrooms contain both a stool in the urinal in the men's and 2 stools in the women's, with the handicap stools, of course, which are required. And then we have a concession area, and there's a very small storage room off the concession room. So a single roll-up door with a countertop for the concession. And if you haven't been by McKinley lately, it'll be located much closer to the field. There's an existing tree there. It'll be just south of the tree, between the tree and the bleachers.
And when do you expect to break ground on?
Once we get contracts in place, which typically takes anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, so probably shortly thereafter. And we're going to work with both the softball board as well, because obviously we don't want to create a hazard area while the season is going on, so we'll be conscious of that as well. The water is there, the power is there, and we're working on extending the sewer service line from the existing service line, so that'll be done Tuesday of next week, I believe.
Anything else? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf. Aye. Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Next, Your Honor, I would like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to execute MLBP license agreement granting permission to use certain trademarks, service marks, and/or copyrights belonging to certain Major League Baseball-related entities at the Splash Park.
I'll second that.
We have a motion, a second, to authorize the mayor to execute the license agreement. I've got to say, I was amazed when this happened. I got to give congratulations to Eric and his administrative assistant, Ashley, because quite frankly, it surprised me when we received this permission from Major League Baseball. That's quite a feat. So you did a good job, Eric, and
Thank you. I have to give a lot of credit to Ashley. She did a lot of hustling with the Major League Baseball and their New York office. So, did
Well,
a very good job.
to be honest, I was going to give all the credit to Ashley, but I didn't want to do that.
And Mayor, you're
Yes.
doing something all of us dreamed of, signing a Major League contract.
There you go. How many will there be in Peru now? We have, we have one back in the '60s, and now a mayor that can't play baseball never did.
So I'll take Jay and my family, Mayor.
And I don't blame you. If there's no other discussion, roll call vote, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Waldorf. Lukosius. Radke. Sapienza. Peyton. Ballard.
Motion approved.
Next, Your Honor, I have a letter here from a resident of Peru concerning the cemetery that I'd like to read. It's pretty short. Just a note to thank you. It says, Dear Doug, to Doug Burnaby. Just a note to thank you for overseeing the employees at the Peru City Cemetery. Doug, in all my 87 years, I've never seen the cemetery look any better. I think Jeff King and Les Tiemann has their group working hard and has the cemetery looking super without the high school kids who come on later and do good work. But before they get here, there's been a lot of work up there. It looks really good. Once again, you get an A on your report card, and then it's signed by the resident. I thought that was a pretty nice letter, and I wanted that in the record.
That's a very nice letter. Yeah, the cemetery looked great over the weekend.
Sure did. Chief King, anything?
Nice work.
Yeah, Les and his group were working really hard last week. We lost it there for a period of time when it was raining every day, and it really grew fast, and I ended up with 6 guys up there raking one day because it just was, we lost the north end, but they came through and they really worked their butts off, and it really, really looked good last weekend. I was very impressed with them.
And thanks. Chief Burner, anything?
Anything?
You just want to add one thing, an update, I guess. If you haven't been up around the Plank Road area, I spent a lot of time up there today with the contractor prepping. We will be having our first pavement pour tomorrow. So the first section of Commerce Drive will be poured, the main line, and then later in the week, we'll probably do the tie-ins at the intersection. So there'll be a lot of action in that area tomorrow.
Very, very good. Your Honor, those all from Public Services.
Tomorrow's the big pour. How long do you expect that to be? 12, 16 hours or so?
It'll probably be a full, about 12-hour day, maybe a little bit more.
What time do they start?
They'll get there probably around 5:30 to prep, ready to get the paver moving. First truck will probably dump sometime around 7, and then we'll finish the night saw cutting the pavement, so it'll be a long day.
Okay, report city attorney, ordinances, resolutions.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
None? Unfinished business, any unfinished business? Any new business? I'll say that, I was just at LP for their, I'll ask the reporters, what was it, the window breaking ceremony? I guess that's what, they handed out hammers from, the construction company, and, everybody had their chance to break a window, so LP's officially starting, I guess, tomorrow on their upgrades, and there'll be, I believe they said 8 classrooms on the east side of Charter Street, 8 temporary classrooms, which will be mostly their English classes and whatnot for all of next year. So they had quite a crew of people there tonight. So congratulations, LP. They're starting. Any other new business? Petitions, communications,
Yes, just one, Your Honor. Communication from Central Bank of Illinois requesting variances for the property located on the northeast corner of Midtown Road and North Peoria Street.
Move that we refer that to zoning.
do we have a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Waller, was that? Okay, we have a motion and a second to receive the communication and turn it to planning and zoning for review and recommendation. Is there any discussion? This is something they came in and they started talking about 6 months ago or so, so it moved fairly quickly. So, by the way, most things move, so. Do we have we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Any further
No
communication?
further communications, Your Honor.
Public comment. Claudia, you're the only one here. Okay.
Your Honor, I'd like to just take a minute here to just give a little recap on the air show that was held last Saturday, or a week ago Saturday, and as you well know, the day couldn't have been any worse. It was absolutely terrible. But I have to give a tip of the hat to all of the volunteers. I mean, everyone showed up that said they were going to come. We had people kind of standing around bumping into each other because it was such a terrible day outside. We were fortunate enough to get some airplanes in the air late in the day, around 4 o'clock or whatever, and they did put on a little bit of a show. The biggest comment that I have received that afternoon and then since then via the phone is people saying, don't let it discourage you that you got rained out. Please keep this as an annual event. I think it was a testament to the great citizens of Peru and surrounding area here that showed up on a terrible, terrible day. They estimated at times that we probably had better than 3,000 people there, and standing in the rain with umbrellas, hoping that the skies would open up and sun would come through and the airplanes would get in the air. But I just want to put everyone's mind at ease, and we're certainly going to keep this as an annual event. We're going to have our debriefing meeting on Friday. We'll go over all of the facts and figures at that time and see where we stand, but we have every intention of doing this again next year. We do not have a date set yet, but that will be forthcoming.
It was amazing. As soon as the rain stopped for a few moments, the way the people piled in, it was just, wow, here they come all of a sudden. So, yeah. So that 3,000 will turn into 12,000 if it was nice weather, easily. Anything else, anyone? And no closed session that anybody? Okay, adjournment, motion?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.